This is John LeBaron with Chimney Check Professionals. This is the video portion of my inspection. This is where I take a look at the inner walls of the system. So right now we're looking at the top, and
you're all the way up.
we're all the way up, and we're seeing the spark arrestor. And my rods, as you can see, the bottom of my rod here is just basically about that height. So when we take these out, we'll know the system height, the total system height, based on the rods that I have in there.
They are a 4-foot rod.
They're 3.5 feet, about.
That's complex.
So and these rods are dirty, and they're going to go right where you're looking. So as we bring the camera down, we can see that, you know, I wouldn't talk about cleaning of the system.
Well, it just got cleaned.
Yeah, exactly.
They did a decent job.
Right. That's not bad. I'm not going to complain about the cleaning. I'm surprised they did a cleaning. I didn't know they would.
That's
do
their
cleanings.
gag. That's what we got for. It was only $100.
Who did it? Boston Brick and Stone? I didn't know they did
Oh,
cleanings.
this is special.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the special was so Ivan comes out and tells you everything that's wrong with your fireplace.
Right. And keep in mind, they're gonna find something wrong with most every fireplace. So it's not like this is the exception.
No, John, do I have to believe that's true?
Well, unfortunately, most people are not installing them correctly. So with that, we find issues all the time. The problem with this industry, though, isn't that we find problems. The problem with it is we don't know which buffoon is doing the inspection, and we don't know what he's going to miss or what he's going to say is wrong when it really isn't, because he just doesn't know any better. So that's the issue with the industry.
Yeah, and so the advantage here is that we're getting two opinions about the same problem, and they both concur.
Well, no, actually the advantage is that you're getting an opinion from an actual real company right now that is going to tell you only what is.
Because they make nothing.
And isn't going to make something up, and is not going to tell you something's wrong unless I know it's wrong. So what we're looking at here is the pipe that is too far down, and that's our issue here. This pipe is shoved too far down, and it's allowing for heated gases, which I was visibly able to observe, heated gases to escape between the inner and outer walls.
Right, so they're actually just going into the outer wall space.
That's right. They're not going into your attic space at this point. So that's why I was saying that may never translate to an issue, but keep in mind that may never isn't our standard. So the only way to give us the never is to install it correctly. Aside from that, we certainly have a log grate that's been burned up quite a bit and heated.
How'd you like the play, Mrs. Lynch?
We have a crack in the refractory. Personally, at this time, I just wouldn't put any focus there. It's a non-issue at this point. And it may never be an issue. And then it may separate and become a gap that now needs to be corrected. But at this point, I would tendency to, let's say you were a home buyer and I missed that, and then someone else caught it and said, oh my God, that guy missed it. And then you called me asking me to replace it. I would basically say, it's actually fine, and you wouldn't catch me replacing it. Keep in mind, if I do make a mistake, I will correct that mistake. This is just not one of those. Again, I'm really trying to emphasize this is a non-issue. As we look at the right side refractory, we can see a gas line penetration, and we can see here that there's a gap there. Of everything we've talked about, this is actually the only item I can tell you that I know for sure is an issue, and it's very simple to correct. That opening should be sealed with a refractory cement. There's other materials as well. You could go crazy with a specific type of material that actually will bond to the refractory and to the metal. And you start using a heat gun process, et cetera, et cetera. You can do that, and that's probably technically the correct way to do it. But a refractory cement properly implemented here will last for years and years and maintain it over time. We have a damper here that opens and closes. It does just fine there. Really, I have no other issues with the fireplace area. The chimney is also too short per the city standards. As we can see here, I have 4 rods. All 4 of these rods went up into the system, and the very bottom of it ended up about right there. In other words, so 3.5 feet per rod, that gives us basically about 14.5 feet, because there's a little extra. My camera has some height to it. So in other words, we have about a 14.5 foot total system height. So that meets the manufacturer's requirement for the total system height, but we are too short per the city and manufacturer standards based on the roof height. I would not be jumping up and down about that. The most I would do in that case is add a 2-foot extension to the top of the chimney to give it 2 feet more, and I would feel very good about that, even if I discovered that 3 feet was what you needed. Obviously, we have opinions in every aspect of things, but I think that would be correct our issue. The one thing that no one has mentioned so far, and I don't think you were told about, is at the very top of the chase, basically your wood frame box that penetrates the roof, it has a metal cover on it. Superior requires what is called a ventilated chase cover. In other words, it's supposed to have spacers as well. In other words, the chase cover is supposed to be bigger than the chase by about 1 inch all the way around, and then there are supposed to be spacers varying from 1/2 inch to 1 inch that raise the metal cover off the wood framing, and then the fact that the chase cover is bigger and the fact that it is raised off the chase gives us what we call a ventilated chase system. How important that is, well, we can argue that either way. It's the requirement from the manufacturer, therefore it's code. Will it ever rear its ugly head? Again, it's an unknown. Ensure you review my written report for all my findings and recommendations.